Okay, so nobody's getting the truth from the mainstream media, folks. It's well past time to open your eyes, your ears, and your mind. Do your own research because something isn't right here. And if you can't see that, you are not paying attention, folks.
It's the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. A world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations.
So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. Now that's back from high school algebra, but let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, healthcare, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%.
The important message that we need Australians to get vaccinated as quickly as possible. In line with that, I do encourage all Australians to please go and book your vaccinations as soon as you can if you haven't already done so.
Emma, get away!
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.
Okay, we need to stand up against this tyranny, folks. Stop giving away your freedoms and liberties, because the more you give up, the more these people will take until you have absolutely nothing left. That's their agenda. All right, good evening, Patriots, once again. I suppose it's a good night for name for tonight's show. We've got Sue Ellen Wrighton from the Trumpet of Patriots guys is going to have a chat to us about a few things, and see if we think that Clive can actually be a difference, which I believe someone can. Okay, and I believe he's probably in the best position at the moment to help us out, guys. And Australia's in trouble. We all know that. So hence is why I'm getting these people on to have a chat to them. All right. And so firstly, I got to go through a couple of things. Glenn, Patriot 101, happy birthday, brother. Born day. Sorry. Happy born day. Don't knock my head off for that. Okay, guys. And guess what we've had come in today, this afternoon?
Go third.
Well done, guys. New South Wales won. We all know that. Okay. We got the number, the first number, event number 83783821. South Australia come in a quick second, okay, at event number 146233923. Victoria's come in third. Love Mexico coming in third. Event number E8675309. Guys, absolutely brilliant. That documentary, I haven't checked on the viewership, but it will be getting up to 1.5 million now. And I think it will go pretty quick as it gets out there. We're finding a lot of people are waking up and are open to seeing it. The amount of people we have come past the boat here and stop, get photos of their A-frame and have their conversations, start conversations.
Thanks, Craig.
So, yeah, well done, everybody. Yeah, everybody. All right, remarkable effort, guys. We've got more stuff coming. So I got a bit of crap up here, but I'm not even really worried about it, guys. It's all stuff you guys know. It's the usual mainstream circus that I bring in the first 5 or 10 minutes, but I reckon we utilise the whole show. We get Sue in now. If Caz is right, we'll bump her in if she's finished sharing. Sue, welcome to Stop the Rot, Sack the Lot. This is
hey, mate. Thank you very much for having me.
That's cool. This is our little community channel that's gets highly censored and highly whacked. But anyway, we're here. We've been around for a while, 5 years, Sue. And we've got a good band of people out there, as I was just talking to you pre-show, about the witness statement, which you didn't know about. And That's cool. But now you do, and we're going to be getting that around, you know what I mean, and getting a bit more exposure, hopefully, from that. But there's a lot of stuff going on. But we want to talk to you about what's the future and what does Clive see, because we are in a spot of bother. Okay, we know that the country's been raped, pillaged, and plundered and sold out under our feet. You know, I think the best thing about Clive is being a mining magnate and being a businessman. He would be in the position to actually, you know, utilize his resources, some of them, and actually try and turn this thing around. So we've got a few questions for as we get into the show, but how do you see yourself doing that, Sue? What's the gist of what Clive's got that you want to give to us people so we can get behind you, all right, and make sure that something happens here?
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Look, you cannot do anything in this country to change our future, to improve our living standards, to push back against the woke DEI, to push back against the tyranny, the mandates, you know, all of the things that we despise. You can't do anything about it unless you have somebody elected to the parliament. Now, I know that because I've been working as Ralph Babette's Chief of Staff for the past 3 years. And it's an absolute cesspit in Canberra. It's full of professional politicians who have never really had a real job outside of politics. Half of them wouldn't know how to change a tyre. And they predicate upon the fact that there are just two major political parties. It's Labor and it's Liberal. And for us normal people, for us punters, that's all we've ever really known. We've never really. I'm old enough to remember the days of the Democrats that put in a little bit of a different point of view. But These days it's just Labor and Liberal. And what the Uni Party did at the end of last year, in the very final sitting weeks of the Parliament, in fact, I think it was the last day, the last day they colluded. They gave each other a cuddle. You know, we've got this together as a uni party. And they colluded to change the election laws on us so that not this election, but the next election, it's going to be really hard for new entrants into politics to register their party and then to attract a sufficient level of funding to be able to compete against the big guys. Now, they didn't change any of their structural funding that they've got set up, like all of the union money that comes into the Labor Party and all of the private organisations like the Cormac Foundation that fund the Liberal Party. So they are happy to collude when it suits themselves to lock out people like me and to try and lock out people like Clive Palmer from getting good ideas out there into the community that threaten their power. It's essentially what it's about. And as far as Clive's concerned, I mean, his record speaks for itself. He stood up during COVID. He sent a letter to every single household in the country warning Australians about the dangers of the vaccine. He had John Skerritt from the Department of Health. He had him in his sights. And after we had sent him a few choice words in a letter, mysteriously John Skerritt stands down and resigned. And now John Skerritt works for an organisation called Medicines Australia. Now, Medicines Australia is a shop front for all of the pharmaceutical companies that operate in Australia. All of the pharmaceutical companies that you as taxpayers granted liability to, so that when these vaccines were given to Australians and they couldn't walk anymore and they ended up in wheelchairs, it's the government that has to pay out the compensation. But then it got worse because the government had a compensation scheme that made it incredibly hard for vaccine-injured Australians to get 1 red cent out of them. It was the most disgusting, despicable thing that has ever happened to our nation, and these mongrels will pay. Mark my words.
Good. Well, $5, Albo. $5 he offered us today, Albo. What a guy, eh?
Awesome. That's going to help you pay your light bill, Dave. You know, it's going to help you put in your car and pay your insurance. These people are insulting us.
They are. So I ran as a senator a couple of years ago. All right.
Did you?
And,
Who is?
With Bosie and another like 16 people. Right.
Good.
We got a few.
You know what? Take my hat off to you for getting out of your sofa, right? Stop. You know, you're not yelling at the TV anymore. You're getting out of your chair and you're getting involved. And full respect to you, mate. And there should be more of us doing it.
No, thanks. We got a lot of people out there doing it. We have an underground movement here that's going off, mate.
I think Mel wants to say something. Sorry.
No, it's Caz. I'm Caz. Mel's his wife. It's all right. Easy mistake. A lot of people we often joke he's got 3 wives. But look, here's the thing: is that but what Dave's getting at though is that even where in his hometown, where on the poll where he worked, where people came in that knew him, that voted for him, where he actually voted for, there weren't any votes for him. So, the election fraud, and just on that as well, Michael Gray Griffiths, he has, listen to this man, he's a veteran of 27 or 29 years. Yeah.
Pencil, but I hope that the Electoral Commission will wake up in future.
So he's basically talking about how he put submissions into the AEC because he saw fraud as far as the electoral roll goes, and he saw evidence of massive amounts of votes where the pencils had been the pencil mark had been changed. And we've also got video footage that I'll show you in a minute of ballot boxes being rolled out. This is from Glenn.
That bloke that you just showed in the clip. Oh, watch this. Yeah. Sorry. No, you're right.
Yeah, no, that's
the bloke that you just showed in that clip. He's a magnificent old fella. His name is Lex Stewart, and he's from New South Wales. Now, I met Lex back in 2012, 2013 when I first joined up with Clive's party. I mean, I'm a founding member. I'm loyal. I've been with Clive for over a decade, for 13 or 14 years. Lex was the first man to teach me how to do scrutineering. So he is very well versed in the Commonwealth Electoral Act. He knows all of the rules, and he's seen all of the tricks that these political parties pull, all of the devious stuff that they do to actually harvest more votes and to cheat at elections. They absolutely cheat. So when I first entered politics, there used to be, it was like you've got all of these political nerds, right? You've got the young Labor and the young Liberal. They all get involved in politics when they're young at university, and they all would jump on minibuses full of these young kids, and they would go from polling booth to polling booth to polling booth for the entire day, and they would vote probably 9 or 10 times at these different polling places, and they would go in, they would get their name marked off on the roll and the lady would be there with her ruler, and she'd mark the name off the book, and off they get the ballot papers, and they go and cast their votes. And they would do that at polling place because they're not connected. So it wouldn't be found it wasn't discovered until after election day that Joe Bloggs had voted at 10 different polling booths. And Joe Bloggs gets a letter and they say, Joe, you've been marked off at 10 different polling places. And Joe goes, well, I don't know. Someone's obviously made a mistake, And there's no way for them to catch Joe out, because back in the day, there was no surveillance cameras. There was no, the electoral roll and the people marking the names off, that was never linked. So that was super dodgy. But at the last election, I can tell you a story about Clive actually in 2013. So in Clive's case, he contested the seat of Fairfax in Queensland, and there ended up being a discrepancy with something like 8,000 additional white Senate papers were handed back in and counted, but they were missing 8,000 in. No, I've got that wrong. Sorry, it was an additional 8,000 ballot papers from the Senate had gone missing. They'd fizzled off.
We'll show you some more that went missing now, Sue. Have a look at this.
Yeah, have a look at this.
This is 2-3 years ago.
For the record, we got number 2 ballot box leaving the building. For the record, Neil's taken number 2 ballot box out of the building. says they got nowhere to store them there, but guys, according to the rules, they're not supposed to leave the building until they're counted by the scrutineers, with the scrutineers present.
What?
So we're not too sure where they're going. We've been told they're going to a safe place, but they've got no padlocks on them. It's just supposed to have.
No padlocks, zip ties.
Removable ones at that, I'd reckon.
Sorry,
now we've got
duty to keep.
We got so many of those.
Where was that? Where was that filmed?
We got 50 of them, films like that.
But,
all around the country. That might be a bit of an
it?
exaggeration, but we have a lot of films of them stealing boxes from all around Australia, man.
Yeah. So we actually got a legal team to take some sworn affidavits from members of the community who reported. So I was the New South Wales director at the last election. There were ballot papers found in someone's garbo in the seat of Cowper, which is
what are we going to do about it?
Nambucca Headsway.
What are we going to do about it, Sue? What are we going to do about it?
Well, we've actually got to take the Electoral Commission to court is what we need to do, but you've only got a limited window to do it. So it's called the Court of Disputed Returns. And if we've got an issue with the way that the election has been conducted, if we've got issues with the chain of custody with ballot boxes, and if we've got evidence, then we have to take legal proceedings pronto, and you've only got a certain window of time to do it after the election results are counted. It's like, I don't know, I can't remember, it's like 42 days or something. But what we can do about it, right, first things first, everyone take a pen with you, either to the early voting centres or to, like on election day, use a bloody pen. Tell them, no, thanks, don't need a pencil, right? Use a pen because they can't rub that out is the first thing. And secondly, as a citizen, you are allowed to ask questions. If you see something that you're not comfortable with, you're allowed to ask the polling place official if you can, what are your, what are your plans for the security of this particular ballot box here? Because I can see that flap underneath, it doesn't look real secure to me, like a,
And can I tell you what they said to our people? If they actually were allowed to go in and scrutineer, because, if you weren't from either of the major parties, they wouldn't even let you into scrutineer. Seriously.
Yeah, that's bull dust. That's bull dust, and that's when you need to.
This is what they've done to our people.
Like me.
Now, some of our people, were tough enough to push through, get in there, all right? But then they go in, they find a table with no Group U, and then they find a bundle of people upstairs counting out ballots that aren't even downstairs in front of everyone with no Group U, which was our group. You know what I mean? It is just, we have so much, we've done a forensic audit on them.
Yeah. You know what we can do? Just thinking on the fly, but you know what we can do? We can actually all come out on election day when the ballots are being counted, and we can all volunteer to become scrutineers. Now, a scrutineer is allowed to wander in throughout the day and have a look. You're not allowed to wear your party shirts or anything like that. You've got to cover that up. And you're allowed to walk in throughout the day, and you're just allowed to observe, make sure that the ballot boxes are still intact, that the seals are still in place. And then at 6 o'clock, if there's enough of us all standing there and just watching everything that's going on and just observing, then it's lots of sets of eyes in the room, and we can do it. If we're all going to give up a few hours on a Saturday night, we can do it, and we can keep our eyes peeled. And what we could do, your program, you guys could actually run a scrutiny training session. I can call old Lex Stewart. He could do like a live training session so that we all get to understand what scrutinies do and what they're allowed to do.
We know what we're allowed to do. We've got a very, very educated audience here, Sue. Very, very educated. We know what we can and we can't do. The problem is they don't let you do anything because they just move the frigging goalposts, or they create another law, this or the other. So election, we're going to see a lot coming out now. They've called it for the 3rd of May. All right, we're going to get going. Can we hit a couple of other topics?
Sure.
Okay. So we've got a measles scare out there. What a load of bullshit. When there's measles around, mate, my mum took me around there to get the measles. So vaccinations, we're killing kids. The moment they get out the womb, we're killing kids. Okay. What what is your party going to do about vaccinations on children that are not needed? We know for 70 years have been killing people, causing autism, all the problems that we've got. Where's your stand on vaccinations? We'd like to just see no more. Stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So talk.
Can I just want to say, and I'm going to try not to get upset about it.
Yep.
They're killing kids in the womb.
Yep.
Right?
I know that.
They're killing kids in the womb. Now, these mongrels and the current health minister, Mark Butler, was on social media a few months ago encouraging pregnant mothers to be vaccinated with the RSV vaccine.
Yep.
Now, that dangerous health product is actually an mRNA vaccine. Yep. It's actually on the Black Triangle scheme. So what that means is that doctors have to treat it with the utmost of caution because it's a brand new product that has shown in the safety documentation, it showed that it killed a mother. So one mother died during the clinical trial and 10 babies, unborn babies died. And our health minister has got the hide to get out there and start promoting this product that has not been used in humans for a long time, saying, go out and get it. It's free.
So the question is, what are we going to do about it, Sue? This is what we want to know. If you want votes, we got questions, okay? I'm not being harsh, okay? Now, you know, that's one thing. New technologies is another. You know what I mean? But we have to stop killing our kids. The abortion is bullshit. You know, now you can kill a kid after it's born. You're kidding me. You know what I mean? Or up to 2 years after they want to bring in very soon. We've got VADES, voluntary assisted death. You know what I mean? We've got that in one of our, I think it's Canberra. Okay? In Canberra, we can go and buy drugs. All right? If you're 16-year-old, you can go and buy cocaine, fentanyl, speed, pot, whatever you want. Yeah. What do we in a big picture tell the people what you're going to do about this country, because we are screwed.
Yeah. The problem with a lot of those voluntary assisted dying laws is that they're state laws. And there was a case in Queensland where a woman who had terminal cancer wanted to be able to end her own life, and she had the liquid at home. And unfortunately, that poor soul was taken to hospital, and they carried out ending her life when she was in hospital through her arm, through an intravenous dose. But her liquid dose was still at home. And 2 days later, her husband took her liquid dose. And that happened, I think, in Queensland. Now, that's a state law. And that's an example of how things can go terribly wrong.
Yep.
And
we all know that.
There's nothing that a Commonwealth, the Commonwealth laws trump state laws. So if we were to bring something in at the Commonwealth level, we could try and have a higher level of authority over the states as far as that's concerned. But in terms of the vaccines, it's the Commonwealth that's funding these vaccines and pushing them and making them free. Now, Senator Babette introduced some legislation. We've introduced many bills that have just been knocked back by the major parties. We wanted to do an inquiry into excess mortality. We wanted to introduce an indemnity bill. The indemnity bill was not allowing our government to ever give a pharmaceutical company indemnity again in the future. So us, as a
we want to go back 5 years and charge a lot of the bastards, mate. Not giving,
So that comes down to another thing that we tried was a royal commission into COVID. And this would have gone through everything. It would have gone through the mandates, the lockdown, the harms, the economic, the harming the kids, the whole box and dice, right? That's what a royal commission does. It has the most farthest reaching powers.
So we have no faith in any royal commissions. The last royal commissions that we all talk about, I'm wearing the shirt here. You know what I mean? They don't want to know about it, Sue. Royal commissions, just us taxpayers paying for more money for these guys to do whatever they want in the background with their lobbyists, etc., to get the result that they want. We're in trouble, man. Wearing
So, and on that, Sue Ellen, there is a problem with this, with the suppression orders, and there's been reports even on the mainstream media about there being problems within, young male prostitutes, but there's also pedophile things, and we also know with the Epstein files coming out that certain intelligence agencies around the world are using these to blackmail people. We also have Miles Gow, who said that the CCP pays off the Australian politicians and also the Australian media $10 billion a year. That's a massive amount of money.
Chinese agents sitting in our government. These are the things we got to get rid of them, Sue. Like, this is insanity.
If you look at this big picture, right? External forces, they don't need to go to war with us and come and fight us with their ships and their tanks and their planes.
No, I know.
We are being dismantled from within.
That's
All
right.
of this stuff that's happening to us is dividing us and it's harming us, and we are being controlled, and our freedom of speech is being shut down because they would hate the fact that I'm on this program with you guys right now talking about this stuff. They would absolutely hate it. And that's why that they tried to bring in the censorship bill as well. The misinformation, disinformation bill. They want to shut us up.
Yeah, let's piss them off a bit more, too. What about immigration, man? What the hell?
Yeah, look at this. I've got this one. Look, we've got one new migrant has arrived every 44 seconds, yet not a single additional house is being built. And you've also got can I just play this little thing from Rocco, because I find this just absolutely extraordinary.
I mean, this is enough to make anyone's blood boil. Because the homeless have nowhere to charge their phones, they used to come in here into this brand new sports complex. And see, guys, see where you see that box there? Behind that box, there used to be a PowerPoint where all the homeless would, recharge their phones, recharge their laptops, etc., etc. But then, because of all my reporting, too many homeless people were charging their phones, and so the council, the absolute criminals who believe that they own everything, when all this infrastructure here is being paid for by the people, they come along and they decide to put a padlock on there. So they're basically saying to the homeless, "Fuck off."
We'll leave it there. Good work, Rocco. But this is just these people are just so un-Australian. I don't know anybody that wouldn't help out somebody in that situation. Everyone helps people out. Can we use your electricity? Yeah, come on in, have a shower while you're at it. That's who we are as a people. In fact, Australia used to donate per capita more to the third world than any other people group in the world. So it's just not who we are, and yet you've got these belligerent people who, mind you, 2 or 3 times we put it to the vote and we've said no, we don't want councils. So they're operating illegally as far as the referendum goes.
Local councils are a little breeding ground, a little practice ground for the up and coming pollies when they think they might be state or federal government. But getting back to people that are doing it tough, we know that there's 120,000 Australians who are homeless right now. And that's not through any choice of their own. It's through circumstances created by I shouldn't say that, but I think that for the majority of them, they are under so much financial strain and pressure because of what the government has done, and because of the government inaction, and because of the government callousness. And I will give you an example. So we were talking about our policies, we were developing our policies, and we met with the people from Food Bank, and they told us that 3.7 million households, so 3.7 million families are experiencing food insecurity. And I said, what the hell's food insecurity? What is that? And they said they don't have enough money to feed themselves. They're actually cutting back on meals. And this is parents going without dinner so they can afford to give their kids a feed. Okay. And that cut me up.
And thank you to Clive. Thank you to Clive for doing what he done at the food bank there. we appreciate that. But let me just mention a couple of things here, Sue, and I'm not having to dig at you. I'm very passionate, Sue, okay? That's me, darling, okay?
You always
I'll give you a big cuddle when I meet you, no worries. But, yeah, I'm straight up the line, all right? So we've got $660 million going to a football team. We have $1 billion going into Southeast Asia for our so-called Australian defence, you know, just to look after people so that we're looked after. What a load of bullshit. We got $1 billion going to Ukraine. What's going to happen to all this funding if Clive gets in on the 3rd of May? What happens? Does it get cut straight away? This is what we want action, man. Yep.
But that's a red pen, mate. Yep. We will red pen it. We are going to strike it out. Cut. And food banks.
And what about the But we've also got, like, there's a massive amount of immigration. Like, we can't sustain. We don't have the ability at the moment to take on another 5 million, and that's what Albo signed us up for.
So the immigration is out of control. It is record immigration. We are just shy of 400,000 people have come into Australia under the Labor Party. Right now. Most of those people, a lot of them end up in Western Sydney. Now, Western Sydney is predominantly an Arabic stronghold in Western Sydney. Tony Burke is the Home Affairs Minister. He relies heavily upon votes from new Australians who live in Western Sydney. Chris Bowen, the absolute most hopeless energy minister our country has ever laid its eyes on. He is singularly responsible for bombing $34 billion. This is billion. It's 1,000 million is a billion. Times that by 34. This Muppet has been given all of that money to the renewable energy sector to prop up a technology that doesn't work. That's failing, that's running at a loss, and it's taxpayers that are sustaining it. So all of the money that we're spending on crap like that, we should be spending on roofs over people's heads. We need to cut back immigration. Now, I'm not against really super skilled immigration, right? If we need a nuclear expert out here because we want to do a nuclear power station and we don't have Australians here that can do that, well, I'm not opposed to that. But the other thing that you guys may or may not be aware of is that in February, there were 200,000 student visas issued for 1 month. One month. Where are they going to live?
Yeah, I know.
Where are they going to live?
Onto that, we've got coal and gas, and we got shitloads of it, right? But we give it all away, all right? And we, so again, we got free energy out there, Sue. I can prove it to you, man. We have a thing called the ether out in there in the atmosphere, okay? Can proven. And now we've got these Muppets out there. So next topic is New World Order, WHO, WEF. We want out of the lot. We want out of the Paris Agreement. We want out of this, out of that. The Lima Agreement can go on. I'll wipe my bum with that one, all right? But can you tell me that these are the things that your party is going to be aiming for? Because our people are sick and tired of being hammered. They've been working hard, okay, and they've done a magnificent job. As I said, we've got something out to 1.5 million people in Australia, which is and we've got 3 event numbers. This is a brilliant bunch of people here. They can't be fooled by anything, okay? So we want to know that we're going to get action, and you got a lot of people that'll vote for you if you can give us what we want to hear. I'm not saying you are or you aren't, but we've got to get. We've
actually got numbers bigger than I won't say which news station in which major city, but and we've actually gone even higher. We've actually had as many on one thing that we put out. It was very, very high. In fact, they would love to have our numbers. So, but we can't talk about it because then they just come in and censor us everywhere.
And they do that. We showed last night, Sue. We had 35 straight after the show. I went into the screen and it said 35 views, but we had 247 shares and we'd had 400 comments. But there's only 35 people doing it.
And this is one. We've got one channel that has had 14,000 for like 3 years. Is it, Dave? Yeah, and we have we have 18 across multiple platforms. Yeah, but we can't actually go into depth about it.
It absolutely happens. Just let me tell you, it absolutely happens, right? We all know about Karen, right? We all know about Julian Grant, the e-safety commissioner. She should be sticking to her lane. She should be looking after children online, but instead she's coming after people like you. Now, that's her. That's our friend. You know, she's the one that is really driving the misinformation, disinformation bill and trying to shut us down. But old Karen, she has actually been acting beyond her scope. And we're meeting up with Billboard Chris. So I don't know whether you guys know him. He's out. Well, I mean, he should be having a chat to you guys on your show. But he's coming out. He's got a hearing in Melbourne at the tribunal because they've taken his post. They've geo-blocked it from coming into Australia, and I don't know the details, but it relates to one of Karen's friends who is representing us at the UN, something to do with transgender issues, and. The heart of the story is that she geo-blocked it and she has no right to geo-block it. Okay, she did another thing. She lost in court. There was a young girl, a young mum in Victoria, and there was some kind of queer club that had been set up at a primary school. And this mum put out a post about it, and Karen's office put in a request to X and said, look, can you take this down? Yeah, they sent it to a special portal that they're only supposed to use for legitimate legal purposes, and they've sent it to that portal and asked for it to be removed. And the people at X thought that it was a legitimate legal request when it was nothing of the sorts. So she is acting beyond the scope of her powers. And the very first thing that I would do if I was Prime Minister is I would sack her.
Right, that's what I wanted to hear.
I would say, don't come Monday, love, because you're not welcome. And I wouldn't care what it cost us. That would be my one of my first things to do. But I can't do that unless we lead the government. And that would mean I'd have to win 76 seats in the lower house. But what we can do is if we end up in a balance of power situation, then whoever the government of the day is are going to have to talk to us and give us some of the things that we have on our list. And that's what we're aiming for. I think it's fair. Yeah, sorry. You go.
No, that's good. I just wanted to get this in because we usually go for about 45 minutes. Now, this is a book by Dick Yardley, and it documents the 73 betrayal with Whitlam, basically creating the fictitious entity, the Queen of Australia. And even on the back here, it's got, Sarah Harry Talbot Gibbs. He actually said this document, he actually says, I therefore have come to the conclusion that the current legal and political system in use in Australia and its state territories has no basis in law. And this is a part of the issue as well, is that, we've gone so far away. And I think it was Dicey that created the misnomer of the sovereign parliament.
Yeah, that's actually beyond my, I guess, beyond my scope of understanding. Honestly, I'm not a legal practitioner, and I'm not a constitutional expert, and I don't know exactly what happened at that point in time.
Okay, well, guess what? We're all backyard barristers and lounge room lawyers over the last 5 years, and we know exactly what happened.
Yeah.
How many genders, Sue? Just a male and a female?
Mate, there are two. There are only two genders. Look, we've got the Olympics coming up here in Australia in 2032. Can you imagine those? We've got our great little sports people out there. They have Olympic dreams. They're training their hearts out. Can you imagine a little girl getting to the starters line and she looks across and she's competing against a bloke?
Well, it won't be happening in Australia because we'll be running on the track stopping them, mate.
We have got to stop it. We've got to stop it. We had an event in Newcastle on Tuesday night, and we had one lone protester get up and she exploded in the middle of our event, and she was a trans right activist. But she lost it when I announced to our audience that the Labor government are considering funding transgender conversion surgery under your Medicare.
Yeah, of course they
You guys pay. So when someone decides that they want to be an opposite sex and they want to have their bits removed, or if they, I think they call it gender affirming healthcare. There are 5 plastic surgeons that have lodged an application with the Department of Health and recommending that this be funded under Medicare. Now, the problem with it is a couple of things. The biggest problem is around informed consent, because there have been legal cases where people have gotten their bits chopped off under the healthcare system, and the doctors have been later sued because they said that the people at the time were not of sound mind. They weren't able to make informed consent because they had a mental health illness. So lots of issues around this. My perspective is, what do we cut? If we're funding transgender conversions under Medicare, do we cut life-saving cancer treatments? Do we cut doctors from our rural and remote regions? Do we cut back our nurse practitioners?
Can I talk to you? For a minute, Sue? Okay. Cancer, 1939, the Cancer Act come out. Illegal for any doctor to talk about a cure for cancer. That was in America and Australia. Yet, hey, in 1939, guess what else they done? Started asking people for money to research cancer. Now, we know what cancer is, all right, and we know that this is all bullshit. This is more money laundering. So, again, we want to see improvements. Now, okay, that's a hospital system. I get you. You just can't go in there and just start slapping people around the wards and kicking them out, doing this, doing that. See, we got a really big issue, man. Can you fix it?
Mate, William Macus, right? An absolutely amazing guy. He's an oncologist. He's an expert in his field. He has come out and he has got protocols to treat cancer with ivermectin, with hydroxychloroquine, with azithromycin. That man is amazing. And the mongrels froze his bank accounts. They stopped him from earning an income over social media. And this is Big Pharma. It's Big Pharma extending its black tentacle into our societies and trying to crush people like William Macus. So
Barbara O'Neill. Another gentleman in Western Australia that come up with a cancer thing out of eggplant. He had to leave. He's in Tahiti now. He had to get out of the country. We want these people back. We used to have our own industry. So we got China creating 65 coal-fired plants a month or something, and we've got 6 left, and we're ready to rip them down and watch us all starve and freeze to death. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Look, there is so much to this. We've got to exit the Paris Climate Agreement. Okay. Yep. We are not aiming for net zero. We have to emit carbon. They're injecting our cows with Bover, this injection to stop our cows from farting, which can actually the toxins out of that injection is passed on to us when we eat the meat. There are so many layers of evilness that are being thrust upon us, and we've just got to push back. And I had a conversation with Tucker Carlson recently, and I just want to say that he's lost his dad recently in recent days, and he's really doing it tough. But that man is so awake. He is so awake. And he said to me that he hopes that it never, ever comes to this, but he feels as though it's kind of got a bit of a revolution type undercurrent, when he looks at things, how they're happening. And we have to step up and we have to fight back. We have to fight back. And we have to fight back by speaking about it, by not accepting it, by calling this evilness out. I mean, Bill Gates turned up and had a meeting with bloody Anthony Albanese. What do you think they were talking about? Right? They weren't having tea and scones and talking about what a wonderful place Australia is. They were talking about, I think that he was asking for Albo's commitment, right, to not have a royal commission into COVID and to, understand how many people died from the vaccine. He would have said to Albo, if you wanted, my support from afar, just keep your head down, don't, maintain the status quo. He gets a walk-up. Dave, could you go and get a walk-up meeting with Anthony Albanese? Are you important enough?
I doubt it, because there'd be too many questions asked, mate. But
but you know what? I've got to say, thank God for Clive Palmer. right? You need billionaires on your side. And we are getting our message out to the people. And I pray to God that there are Labor and Liberal voters, rusted on Labor, full-blown Conservative, that actually listen to our message. And I hope that those people are waking up and that they vote for us. Because if I'm down in Parliament, all of the things I've talked to you about tonight, I will push for. And I will introduce legislation, I will change legislation, and I will repeal legislation to get our country back and to put you guys first. That is my promise to you. All I've got is my promise.
Okay. And all we've got at the moment, guys, is this. We got a lot more, but this witness statement, okay, it is doing it, all right? So we talked to you pre-show, Sue. I'm not going to bring that discussion in here, but I would like you to take that discussion to Clive that I spoke to you about. And we thank you for coming on. We would probably like a few more straighter answers, but I know this is a big issue, right? It's a huge there is so much stuff here, and it's a real job, man. Anyone that wants to take it on, I tip my hat to them. Okay, if they're having a go.
If you want some straight answers, I'm happy to give them to you. If you've got the time, I'm happy to give them to you.
Thank you.
Well, we'll get you back on, because what I'd like to do is we always include our audience. So I'd like to go through some of the questions we have in here and have the audience and maybe get you back on again, Sue, soon. And we'll go through some of those questions. I'll pre-line you with those questions so that you can actually give us
I don't need them beforehand. You can give them to me live. I'm happy with that, mate.
Beautiful.
We don't need to do anything. Nothing beforehand. It comes from the heart, or it's bull dust. So
that's how we do the show, mate. We've never done a pre-record yet.
One of the things about us is that we've got our own people and we've got our own musicians, and tonight we're being taken out by the Rocking Housewife, and the song is called Elbow the Commie, and it's awesome. So, Dave, if you'd like to close the show, I shall hit play.
Okay, so I think that, we get Sue back on here in another week or two, guys, depending on her schedule, right? I'll go through, I'll talk to somebody about going through there. You know the girls. I'm just going to throw it out to already. Can we list them up, get them over to me, all right? And then we can bring them in and we can get your questions answered, okay? You guys are the same as me, but you've got different ways of coming about it. You know what I'm like. I'm just going to shoot from the hip, guys, and that's the way I am. So I thank you, Sue, for coming on Stop the Rot Sack a lot. We have a reputation of being asking the hard questions and not wanting to take any shit, but that's the way we've got to be in this world.
Well, you got to do it like that, mate. You've got to do it like that, because otherwise you just get a fraudster, a fake, a bobblehead, and you don't want them representing you in Parliament.
And we'd like to offer Clive to come on the show as well, mate. If you would like to do that, we would love to have him on here. I think the people would absolutely love and adore that. So let's just see how we go. All right.
I can twist his arm.
Okay. And thank you very much for coming on, Sue. We appreciate what you're trying to do. And there will be people out there giving you support. We we've got a lot of people that just will not vote. You know what I mean?
No, they can't do that.
Yeah, I know, but we have got a lot like that, Sue. So, we've got to, give people choices. And I hope that we've got a choice here that can make a difference.
I'm running in the Hunter, right? The Hunter Valley, coal mines, it's the resources sector. It's the things that are paying for Medicare, for schools, for the NDIS, it's our roads. It's the lifeblood of our nation is the resources sector. And I've chosen to run in the Hunter so that our economy doesn't tank and we end up being slaves to China. All right? We've got to fight. And that's what I'm going to do.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much, Sue. All the best to Clive and your party. And we'll talk to you soon. We really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me,
Good night, guys.
Thank you.
See ya.
Good night.
Bye.
In the halls of power, he crept in disguise, whispering promises, spinning webs of lies. Elbow the commie, shut down. Jobs vanish in smoke. Dreams of the people crushed under his yoke. Taxes rising, freedom's fading away. Albo's iron grip tightens day by day. The echoes of despair, the cries of the lost, a nation divided, paying the cost. In the shadows he lingers with plans untold, a puppet master of chaos, ruthless and cold. Rage and ruin in the land of the free. Under Albo's reign, there's no liberty. Crimson flags fly where justice used to reign. 3 years of turmoil, drowning in disdain. Awaken the masses, let the truth ignite. In unity and strength will reclaim the night. Elbow the coming, your time will soon cease for the